What if I told you that your spirit is already whispering to you and you've just been calling it random thoughts all along? Hello, magicians, and welcome back to the Psychic Intuitive Playground. I'm Melanie, and today we're diving into one of the most magical and misunderstood intuitive abilities. That is clairaudience, which, of course, is clear hearing. So don't worry, though, it's not spooky, creepy, or weird like it is in the movies. Movies have really not done psychic abilities justice, let me tell you. Okay, so in fact, you're probably already clairaudient and you just don't realize it. I find it's one of the most common ones, but the most missed ones. So what is clairaudience really? Let's bust through the myths and whatnot real quick. So clairaudience, it's not the hearing the ghostly voices or voices shouting at the room across you. Or it's usually much softer than that and definitely more magical. Although I will say there is things that you will hear with your ears sometimes, and somebody shouting your name when there's nobody around you seems to be one of the most common ones, and it's usually spirit trying to get your attention for one reason or another. Even sometimes somebody has a story where they were about to cross a street and they heard stop really loud and they stopped and they were about to get hit by a car, but they didn't because this got their attention. So you can hear them yelling sometimes, but it's not the most common way to receive it. So clairaudience can feel like words or sentences that pop into your mind that you didn't think. Like usually it's a completely unrelated thought. Um, Also something that you didn't know prior or you wouldn't have thought of or you had no knowledge of until all of a sudden you're like, oh, what? Where did that come from? That's usually a thing. Sometimes it's answers to a question that you're asking in your head and you're like, oh, okay, I guess. You don't realize that you're not just talking to your human self. Song lyrics that are suddenly carrying a message for you. So maybe you've heard this song like 1,000 times, but this time it comes on and a certain set of those lyrics, maybe a line, maybe the chorus, whatever jumps out at you. I often find that it is associated, like I get goosebumps at the same time too. And that kind of gets my attention. And I'm like, hey, what? Oh, geez. Like, and you're like, I don't know why all of a sudden this is hitting me in this way, but it'll resonate with you. It'll answer a question. It will give you a message. You just know. Phrases repeating themselves in your thoughts or answering questions that you hadn't even had time to finish thinking the question yet. The answer's already there. That happens. Noticing conversations or external sounds that suddenly seem like super meaningful. You don't really know why. Like all of a sudden you start picking up on, Bob and Susie's conversation at this party, which you don't know why, but you can hear over all the music or whatever else. And there's something important in it that you needed to know and tells you something. So weird, but either you'll get that or you won't. It does often sound like your inner voice, but it feels different. Okay. It's clearer, it's stronger, although sometimes it is whispering, but it feels more intense than just the random thoughts going through your head. It usually lands in your thoughts before you even have time to actually think it, like to overthink it. It's a whole word or sentence that you're like, wait, what? I did not think that yet. So there could be phrases that repeat in your head, and then like something gets stuck. I don't know why I keep thinking about this. And then later on that day or that week or something, a situation comes up, and like all of a sudden you know why you had that phrase stuck in your head. You might hear those song lyrics at prime times when you're asking yourself a question. Pay attention to the music you got going on. During meditation, this happens where you might hear like a single word or maybe a sentence that's really clear and strong. And for me, it usually happens like really quickly, faster than my thought would even finish thinking it through. Um, you sometimes just know the answers to things because you hear yes or no before you even finish the question or before somebody else finishes the question and you hear it. This happens so fast that I think is one of the more common ones, but people tend to they don't even notice it. So it does require some awareness. You might be super sensitive to the tone in people's voices, even more than the words that they're saying. And that will either make sense to you or it won't. So if any of this sounds familiar, yay for you, your psychic hearing is already kind of tuned in and online. You can actually practice this right now if you want to close your eyes, and you can pause this video if you want to, but just listen, like extend your listening out further from your body. I don't know how to explain that. But notice all the sounds around you. When I do this, I actually notice the sound of electricity. And I feel like a lot of people who are clairaudient hear electricity like I do. And it can get kind of annoying sometimes, right? So can you hear the electricity? Can you hear the birds outside? Can you hear the cars in the distance if you're somewhere in the vicinity of a road? Can you hear yourself breathing? Can you hear your pets breathing? Can you hear the wind on the grass? Feel free to pause this and listen and see how much you can hear. You don't need to label the sounds, but like practice feeling them. Like stretch your hearing out into the world, like you're tuning into a secret radio. There you go. Like just to understand that your radio actually does reach pretty much anywhere in the universe. Fascinating. Anyway, so this is a good practice to do when you're really trying to strengthen your clairaudience. Like all you got to do is sit and listen and see how far you can listen. Now let's try something that's a little bit more fun. Here's a little game, little homework if you want to play with this week. It's the random song message game. Woo! It's my favorite. I do this all the time just for fun to see what happens. So you set a simple intention like show me what I need to hear today. You hit shuffle on the playlist, the radio, or even TikTok. TikTok's fun for this. And listen carefully to the first lyric or message if it's TikTok that grabs your attention. And that lyric is your message or that video. Sometimes it's the whole video, just saying there's no like limit on this, how long it has to be. And it's up to you to interpret that message, but there's something in there. Always, there always is. Usually it's pretty obvious, but sometimes you got to think about it for a second. But trust me, Spirit loves to deliver messages through music or videos or sound. It's one of the easiest ways to translate their messages is through vibrations, which is music and sounds. But here's just one thing to remember, right? Trust the whispers. Trust those whispers. Okay. Sometimes, most often, hearing is not super loud. It's not yelling at you across the room. Okay. It's not this booming voice shouting commands at you like, no, Spirit says, don't do that. It doesn't do that. It's usually just a whisper, but sometimes it's just like regular volume. Most of the time it is, but just trust it, right? It might be a whisper, it might be a nudge, it might be a single word, it might be a sentence, it might be a sound, but trust them anyway. And the more that you listen to them, the more that you trust it. And this goes for any form of your intuition and my glasses are crooked and your skill set, right? The more that you practice with it, the stronger that it becomes. Okay. Don't mind the airplane. So if you're excited to keep growing your intuitive gifts, make sure you hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so that you know when I post new videos, because we're just getting started in this magical intuitive playground. And let me know in the comments, what is a random song lyric or word that's been sticking in your mind lately, or a message maybe that you received in the past from a song lyric or words that it clicked for you that it was an intuitive message. You might be hearing more than you realize. Let me know if you hear any this week when you're playing these games. Okay. So your soul is always speaking to you through these visions, feelings, whispers, sounds. Keep listening. Your inner voice is wiser, louder, and more brilliant than you know. And it's waking you up right now.